you want to do. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, well, I'm a filmmaker living in Los Angeles. I've been out here for 7 years now, and I've just been working at a career in writing and directing films. And I come from a small town in Winchester called Winchester in Virginia, and yeah, I think let's see. Movies are my thing. Movies are my passion, and yeah, they really get me excited. They really that's what I like to pour all my time into is movies. Yeah.
Well, if you're interested, I would love to work with you. I could be like an extra or something.
Yeah, sure, sure. Where are you located?
New
You're on the
York.
East Coast. New York. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe that'd be nice. Work together in the future.
Like I said, I'm going to pass the show over to you in a couple minutes, and you can ask me anything you want, talk about anything you want. So
All right.
starting off, what can you tell us about yourself? And also, how did you get into the whole acting and the whole directing thing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you how I got into directing. I mean, I grew up in the country. I grew up in a pretty rural environment. There weren't a whole lot of people around and stuff like this, and so I was kind of left up to my own devices as far as entertaining myself and creating and things like this. And so we had it was just a typical story of the family video camera, kind of fell into my hands, and filming things around our place, and then I'd have friends out and shoot little movies and stuff like that. And years of that went by before I even considered working professionally that way. And so then I went to film school and moved out here. Yeah, but movies were always kind of brought the family together. It seems like the only time we were ever all together in the same room was movie night, which happened often, several times a week. And and then movies were like one of the only ways that we entertained ourselves out there. It was just yeah. So yeah, they're pretty important.
Yeah, well, on the subject, what are your current projects,
Mm-hmm.
and what were some of your favorite projects that you did?
Oh, my current project is a movie called Feeder that I've co-written with my girlfriend, Mari Grant, and we are working to film this. It's a vampire horror film, and we plan on shooting it winter 2016, next year. And so we're working on that every day, doing a lot of social media, spreading awareness and things like this, trying to build a following. So that's the current project, and then I have many projects I'd like to do in the future after this one. But my favorite projects, looking back, my favorite project, the most enjoyable one, gosh, I don't know. I can't ever. I always go back to this our final project in film school. It was about 40 of us. It was a small class, very small class, 40 kids, like students. I'll say students. And I was elected to direct the final student picture, and that was just a great time having your friends be crew members, and it was a 2-day shoot. And yeah, that was, and everything just went so smoothly, so much more smoothly than anything has since, when it's on my own, when I'm spending my own money, and I'm running out of that in the middle of the shoot and stuff like this. Nothing ever went as smoothly as that final project in film school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a pretty good memory.
don't mind me. I'm just looking at my reflection in the camera, and I look like crap. It's the pink and brown combination.
Oh no, it kind of worked. It kind of, but do what you got to do.
With that being said, if your girlfriend was around, she was more than welcome to be in the interview. If you want to do a double interview next time.
Yeah. If she wants to show up and be in the interview, she can. Maybe she's around here somewhere, or maybe not. Maybe next time. Yeah. I'll let her know, and maybe she'll show up next time.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you: what are the current things that you're working on now? And did you go to college? Is that what you major in, directing, or you're also a book author, right?
No, I haven't written a book. No, just screenplays.
Oh, because on your stage 32, you said you were an author too.
Author, maybe of if I wrote that, I might have meant author of screenplays. Well, I mean, screenwriter too. I'm not sure in a book sense. Not sure about that. Maybe I might have put that because I was new to stage 32, and I maybe put everything that I thought I could do if there was a paying job. If somebody were looking for an author and they were paying, I'd say maybe the transition from screenwriter to book author is something I could handle. I don't know. I'm not sure why I said author actually. I know I made that account something like eight months to a year ago, but I'd never really spent time on stage 32 until just recently. I think it was the short film contest, if you remember that, a couple of months back. They had a short film contest, and then they had a horror feature competition, screenplay competition. I entered in that, so that's what really got me busy on stage 32. But let's see. Oh, college. You asked about college.
Yes.
I went to a trade school. It's kind of more of a trade school in Toronto, Canada. The program lasted 1 year. Lasted 10 months. 8 or 10 months. This was back in 2007 to 2008. And it was a fine program that it was a certificate program. I don't have a bachelor's or an associate's or anything like that. And they just give you a crash course in all of production. Like you start the program. We started the program in pre-production, like producing the producing side of it, pitching your idea, and then you learn editing and cinematography, directing, editing along the way. And so by the end of the 8 or 10 months, you've touched everything. You haven't spent a whole lot of time, but you've tasted every single facet of the film industry, and then I just gravitated, like, everybody wanted to be a director. Most of the students in the student body wanted to be directors, but by the end, there weren't many of us still who wanted to be directors because of the responsibility and the workload. And but yeah, it was good times. It was a lot of fun. Toronto, Canada. Have you been?
No, I want to. It's on my things to do list.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. It's really just in the summer. It's just one of the best cities I've ever been to, and I can't wait to go back. Well, yeah. So film school was only a year, but it was just a wonderful time. Meeting international students, there were only, out of 40 people, there were only 3 or 4 Canadians, 4 or 5 Americans, and then everybody else was international. And so you're meeting all these people from Egypt and Sweden and the Bahamas, and it was just wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned trying to find the word.
Cinematography?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. What can you tell us about that, and how different is that from normal editing?
Well, cinematography is, I suppose, cinematography becomes it becomes that when it starts moving. Otherwise, it's just photography. So it's a lot about camera movement, and certain cinematographers really stand out throughout cinema history because they had their own style, and they were exceptional at what they did. Just like directors and writers and actors, and so cinematography is one of the things in school that I had a great teacher, Fred, who really opened my eyes to cinematography, and he would show us clips of a film, and it would have an emotional impact on me. Pretty much what I've been focusing on the past couple of years: lighting, and the technical side of the camera is what I've been focusing on for the past couple of years. Because shooting a feature film back in 2012, I realized that there's a whole lot about lenses and lighting and the camera that I don't know, and I'd like to know these things. That way, I can make more. I can have more input on the image. So that's what I've been focusing on the past couple of years. And then you asked a question about editing.
I think we touched up on that one when I asked you what was the difference.
Okay.
Actually, the next question I was going to ask you is what motivates you to be a producer? Like, how do you know what you're doing is the best work? How you do, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, when I do my talk show, some interviews are the best, some are okay. But how do you know, as like an editor or a producer, you're getting the best quality you can possibly get?
Well, you always want it to be the best. You should always try to make it the best. You should always believe that, or you should always search. You should always be searching for the best. Whether I know it's the best, I mean, if I have a good idea, I feel it and I know it, and then in between good ideas, I'm searching, and I'm questioning. I'm always questioning myself. It never feels really right. I'm the kind of person that I have to work on something daily. Like this film theater that we're doing right now. I think about it 24/7. It's always on my mind, and it's nice when something comes along and distracts me. The next project or news, national news or something like that. But I don't think I ever know that it's the best, because I don't know if I believe in the best. I believe maybe in the best in that moment, and the best decision that I could make in that one moment. But there's always something better, and but you've got to leave things behind. You've got to move on to the next one, and so that decision that you made is the best that you could have made in that moment. That is now history. But if you could do it again, you could do it better. But if you did that your entire life, you'd only have worked on one thing, and so that's been a real lesson that I've learned, is that you have to just keep going, and you have to make other things. You have to do your best with what you're working on right now, and you have to put everything into that and try and make it the best and search for the best decisions. But after that, you should keep going. Like you've done interviews that maybe you weren't as happy with, or some are better than others, but you got to keep doing interviews, and you got to keep trying to do them better and better. And that's the same with film. Every film I do, I learn from, and so I want to keep doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of my interviews are like really terrific, and they stand out, and there are a couple of duds in there. But like you said, you're not gonna have A+ quality every single time you go out there. You're gonna hit and miss.
Hit and miss. Yeah. another thing is there are going to be specific. You say you have an interview or you have a film. There are going to be specific things that you're not pleased with, and then there will be specific things that you're very pleased with. And I think overall, you've got to say, okay, I got the point across, or okay, this was entertaining, generally entertaining, or something like that. This was generally interesting, even if it has flaws. You know, if the entire is not flawed, then you know, I would see that as success. You know.
Man, we're only human.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we can be really hard on ourselves, and I think we should be hard on ourselves to try and do better, and yeah, absolutely to be better. But you can also make yourself go crazy. Don't want that.
Now I'm gonna pass the show over to you. You can ask me anything you want, any hard hitting questions, and for the most part, people ask me to the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
Of how did you do this, how did you do that. I want you to actually, and use you for a perfect example, ask me hard-hitting questions. You can ask me anything you want.
All right, Keith. Well, how have you found people's patience with you? How have you found people to be patient? Have people been generally patient or and understanding, or are they just kind of in a rush? And have you found people to be rude, or generally speaking?
Could you give me like a perfect example of what you mean?
Out in public, if there's maybe something that you need to do, or maybe somebody, you know, you cross paths with somebody, or maybe you need to ask somebody for help or something like this. Just out in public, generally, have you found that people are? What's your outlook on people? I guess I could say.
I'm a good person. You know, I do the right thing. But
Yeah.
I give you a perfect example. I work in retail. I'm a ringer,
Mm-hmm.
cashier, and
Okay.
some of the people that I worked with are who I ringed up are really nice. You can get into a great conversation with, and you gotta get some assholes along the way. But you know, it's
Yeah.
all about me, and okay, it can be hurried us up.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as far as interviewing,
Mm-hmm.
I started off with doing 72 phone. And don't ask me why it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Uh-huh.
I did 72 phone interviews with
Wow.
people from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to Dragon Ball Z to Spider-Man.
Wow.
And people say, and it still gets to me, you have this great format. Why aren't
Mm-hmm.
you as big or bigger when you
Mm-hmm.
portray yourself to be? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I'm doing the best I can with a learning disability. Would you like to help me with that? No, if you can't do it yourself, then it's not meant to be.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's real nice. Thanks a lot for your support.
Yeah. No, I don't think. I think everybody has somebody helping them. I think the people who told you that wouldn't be where they were if not for others helping them.
That's true. And people say, what is your demographic? What do you cater to? And I say, look, I interview white people, black people, Spanish, Chinese, Asian, doesn't matter what you are. You're a good
Mm-hmm.
person, you have a good story, I'd like to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, what is your age range? I do 21 and up. I don't, 20 is pushing it, but I
Mm-hmm.
usually interview 21 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, I don't interview anyone underneath 20 because it's kind of creepy.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And my following is I have like, I don't know, 50% people from the States, from New
Mm-hmm.
York, Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
from LA.
Oh.
Then I have like 4% from Canada, 3% from England. I do a lot of fan made parodies of like Dumbo, where I do like, I would give a couple girls who I interviewed, I would ask them if they want to do a fan made parody. I would give them lines, say, can you say this in a funny voice, or can you do this in a voice? and I would make my own fan-made parody of it.
Oh.
So that's where most of my numbers came from.
And, cool.
People from. Go ahead.
Those parody videos are on your channel?
Yes.
I'll have to check them out. That sounds good.
And I was working on the Jungle Book one, but this computer doesn't work like 2006 iMovie, so I have to use the new one. And I'm like, forget it. I don't want to learn it. And I tried, and it served a purpose. No reason to keep repeating it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, after I did 21 Dumbos, the pyramid scene, I was like, okay, let's do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the same time I'm doing my talk show, so it's not all about the talk show. I'm also doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
But people say, "Oh, you had this great format. Why aren't you as big or bigger when you portray yourself to be?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing the best I can." But
sure.
It's just, I'm gonna pass that back over to you. Do you think, and do you have people helping you out? When you first started, were you being criticized, or how would you describe yourself?
No, luckily I haven't run into too many people who have told me I don't know anything, or told me that I was too this or too young or too stupid or something like this. I haven't really. I can't think of anybody who's really been who's really said things like this. Yeah, Keith. Not that I'm a pretty solitary person, so I don't put myself out there as often as I'm sure others do. So maybe I'm just because I've been keeping myself away from people for the most part. I'm a pretty solitary and low-key person. Maybe I think because I know these personalities exist in LA, these dysfunctional and abusive personalities. So I just don't put myself in those environments, I just kind of seclude myself and work on projects. And then I've got a couple of friends around me, really good friends, and then when it's time to make a movie, we just start growing in numbers, and then we make a movie, and then I go back to being a recluse again, and so I haven't actually I think I can speak on something kind of recent that happened to me. Somebody was telling me. Somebody was trying to convince me to give away the rights to my film, and it was kind of I was on the fence about it, but they used the reasoning that if I don't, it was kind of ridiculous actually. They wanted my film. They didn't have a whole lot of money to pay for it, but they were just trying to put stars in my eyes and tell me that success was right around the corner as long as I sold them my film. And when I was hesitant and kind of seemed like I was going to refuse, they just called me foolish, and they had been out here a lot longer than I had, and so they knew better and they knew how it was and stuff like this. The thing about an older person, or just anybody telling you that, is that we have such different perspectives on everything. And so if one person has been trying at something for years and years and years and years and failing, and they become very bitter and jaded, well, they're not you. I don't know how they approach people. I don't know how they talk to others. I don't know how they treat others. So I think a lot of what happens in this life is our own fault. I think a lot of people, don't own up to that. Of course you do. Of course you have people come along and crash into your life, and it's not your fault at that point. Just you got to treat others well. You got to be a good person. You got to do the right thing. And I think good things will happen, as long as you just do that. And, just keep doing that. Just, it can be hard, especially when we have such big dreams, you know, and maybe they're not happening as quickly as we hoped, you know, and years are going by, but you still have to, you should, you know, look at maybe why aren't these things happening, and then also, you know, be good to people. Because people have done nothing to us. If our dreams, if we're not millionaires in, you know, a couple of years like we wanted, it's not the fault of the common man around us, you know. So we shouldn't treat people any worse. So.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, do you have any funny stories you'd like to say to your fans? Are you on social media? How they can follow you?
Funny stories. Funny stories. You know, I might have to come back to you with a funny story, because I don't know that I have a whole lot of funny stories. I mean, especially not these days. Basically, I'm just writing and working on social media, and then I go into my day job at night, and so I don't have a whole lot of funny stories these days. And looking back, no. Do you ever have people who don't have funny stories on your show?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to be one of those cases. I don't have any. I'm sorry, Keith.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Well,
maybe when it's my girlfriend and I, we'll have some funny stories for you.
We're wrapping up. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans and listeners? Are you on Twitter, Facebook?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on... I'm new to Twitter, and so I'm pretty sure I'm at Erich Makes Films, ERICH Makes Films, and then Facebook. I tell everybody to feed the feeder. It's www.feedthefeeder.com, and that reroutes people to the Facebook page for Feeder, and there they can find me, and they can find Mari, my co-writer and girlfriend. And so that's the way people can get in touch with me via social media. And Keith, it's just been such a pleasure. This is one of my first interviews I've ever done, and it's been a lot of fun. And so thank you for having me on your show.